I want to jump into the Discardment, which for me is one of the most uncomfortable poems to read. And as a 55-year-old South African who was born in 1969 and grew up in the 70s and 80s, where we always had a full-time live-in helper, it's very uncomfortable. And it should be. It should be uncomfortable. And Alan Paton would have written this in like the 60s. So he exposes, and he was very forward-thinking in his politics and his liberal left-wing outlook. And he did a hell of a lot for the Black communities in which he was a minister, as well as a principal of an orphanage or a reform school. He did a lot, but he was also a man of his time. So it's like, even the phrasing and that is just so uncomfortable. I mean, the title itself, the discardment, something that you discard, that means something that you throw away, okay? And there's an immediate negative connotation attached. So the attention in the heading is focused on the actual item that's never named. They don't need anymore. It's a wearable item, maybe a trinket, a piece of jewelry, probably. And so he's wanting us to think about the actual item and the meaning of the significance and the importance and the meaning of the items to who we assume is the Paton family, white people, white South Africans, who don't use it anymore, and they throw it away, they give it away as a hand-me-down to their domestic worker. So he definitely is criticizing privileged white people at the time. And we see this still happening today. And if it does make you, if those of you who are white South Africans, or I suppose, no, these days, thankfully, if you are a middle-class South African who has the luxury of having somebody else come in and clean your house, yeah, have a look at this and check your attitude and your treatment of people who are doing a shitty job that nobody else wants to do and working flippin' hard, and it's their job, right? There's nothing quaint or cute or whatever about their desperation or their poverty or their limited English or anything else. These are women who are working a job. They're professionally working a flippin' job. Treat them with the respect that you would any professional employee. The racial divide is highlighted because a discarded item would probably never have been given to a white person, or certainly never gifted as like, ooh, look what we got for you. It might be, hey, you want this? I don't need it anymore. As well as the joy and delight that it's bringing, which also begs the question, is it sincere, genuine joy, delight, or is it an expected display? At his time, a white person being given it like that would have felt insulted. As young South Africans in 2024, if it's like, oh, this is uncomfortable, why don't we talk about this? And I mean, it was uncomfortable. It is horrible. Yes, we would like it not to be uncomfortable and for it not to have happened and for not to, and if it gives you the discomfort as a privileged person, feel that discomfort and do something about it. Okay, so it's an absolute indictment against the treatment and status of Black people in South Africa of the Poets' Day. I wish we could say that treatment remained in the Poets' Day, but it hasn't. In this particular scenario, it just means that poor people have more of a range of color of employers who often treat them similarly as well. So by focusing on the gift and how it is of no significance to the family who gives it, reinforces the message that at this time, white people were superior and privileged, utterly tone deaf. Okay, let's read it. The discardment. We gave her a discardment, a trifle, a thing no longer to be worn, its purpose served, its life done. She put it on with exclamations. Her eyes shone. She called and cried. The great bulk of her pirouetted. She danced and mimed, sang snatches of a song. She called out blessings on her native tongue. She called out to her fellow servants, to the strangers and passers-by, to all the continent of Africa, to see this wonder. to participate in this intolerable joy. And so for nothing is purchased loyalty and trust, and the unquestioning obedience of the earth's most rare simplicity. So for nothing, the destruction of a world. Okay, so we have a whole lot going on here. Look at the discardment. It's the definite article that is used. It's not a discardment, it's the. So it puts even more emphasis on the importance of this particular item that was no longer used to the family. We, her, she's not even named, hey? So we have the family who no longer needs this thing and the domestic worker. We, I, versus her and she also separates the us and them and the power dynamics that exist. We have this parenthetical phrase, a thing no longer to be worn. The commas serve as parenthesis in the same way that dashes and brackets do. A trifle, thing no longer to be worn. And no longer to be worn not only implies no longer is anyone going to wear it, but oh no, you shouldn't wear that anymore because it's old. It might be broken, out of fashion, whatever it is, right? Not good enough for us anymore. It also elaborates on the unimportance of the object. Its purpose served, its life done. So I mean, a trifle, a thing, no longer its purpose served, its trifle. It's almost like the parrot sketch in Monty Python. It has ceased to exist. It is a dead parrot. Ceased to be. But he's really, really reinforcing that this is really something that we would chuck in the bin if she didn't happen to be there that day. So there's a shift in tone with the subject here, because it starts off with the focus on the item, and then we go to she, right? Now we're focusing on her, the recipient. There's a different tone with the shift in subject, and her receipt of it evokes a very, very different response, which shows the shift in value between the haves and the have-nothings. Look at the description of her pirouetting, and I mean the great bulk of her. There, he's describing her body in. It's not a flattering, respectful way, and that she danced and mimed, sang snatches of a song. Look at that alliteration. It's a gentle alliteration, but she called out blessings on her native tongue. She called out to her fellow servants to the stray. And so there's this huge display of joy and gratitude. But look at this intolerable joy. Intolerable for Alan Paton. You don't know about his whole family because, oh my God, no. Like, we didn't even want it. And you're acting like it's the most important thing on earth. This is making me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Sang snatches of a sound. It's a sibilant of a song. It enforces a sibilance of it. And the repetition of joy. What else am I looking at? To all the continent of Africa. We have this anaphora. To the strangers. To this. To that. To all the continent of Africa. Firmly roots her as a native citizen of the continent and also where she is. Okay. It also connects her forced lower status and poverty with the rest of Africa. Purchased loyalty and trust and unquestioning obedience of a domestic worker who lives in their house. And she's like family to us. Ah, really? What's her surname? That's what I say to people. Oh, I don't know what I'd do without her. Oh no, she's just amazing. She's like, I promise you, she's like my best friend. She's like family to us. What's her surname? Okay, and he's pointing this out. As you can see, he was very much ahead of his time, writing this in the 60s. But getting the loyalty and trust, buying the loyalty and trust, which also kind of makes it feel like tenuous loyalty and trust as well. Because if you're buying somebody's loyalty and trust, as opposed to gaining it by the way you treat them, the minute you stop paying for that loyalty and trust, it's gone. The rare simplicity is an oxymoron, okay? Rare means unusual. Simplicity means non-distinguishable. The tone, the triviality of the discardment is emphasized by the contrast of the response from her in receiving it and then the family discarding it. And there's irony in that. And obviously the theme is the inferior treatment of Black people during apartheid time. And because people were treated as inferior, they took on that label and believed themselves to be inferior. It highlights the importance of acknowledging somebody else's dignity. And we certainly see that the initial assertions that he's saying, and a description of her with this changing to intolerable joy, and then the very critical ending, definitely sobers the reader. The reality is that you had Black people living in very close, intimate proximity with white South Africans during the apartheid regime, and still now. And that there's this huge class divide, which I think when we see her response, and I think therein lies the discomfort for me, is how this person has taken on that feeling of inferiority and is so lucky to be getting just a scrap. If they're to pay you enough to buy your own jewelry that you might want to wear. But yeah. So the people are compelled to consider the disparity between their affluence and privilege, and the deprivation of their loyal worker who's so overjoyed by their kindness. Obviously set during apartheid, showing the division between Black and white South Africans, privileged and disadvantaged, those who have, those who don't have. And it's a divide that still exists in many parts of the country as a legacy of apartheid, and still sadly exists along racial lines, sadly and disgustingly. Give those questions a bash. And if you'd like to see some model answers, go to our website. It's on the resource page. The direct link is in the comments below. Please click subscribe. It's free. And for more content in this section, click on the playlist.